Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. I have an exciting lesson today, and it's all about character design for humanoid creatures. And we're going to make these characters pretty horrific looking. One, because drawing scary stuff is my specialty and I have a bias towards it. But two, some artists, well, a lot of artists, want to know how to shift from the cartoony friendly over to the dark side. If you're wondering how to do that, I'm going to show you exactly how, and I'm going to sprinkle in a little bit of information about the kind of briefs that we get as concept artists in the video game industry and the visual effects industry, or movies. But before I do that, I just want to ask you, are you all trying to get better at something? Are you trying to get better at, different kinds of arts and crafts, and are you trying to get better at just being creative in general? Well, I have something exciting for you all, and that is today's sponsor, Craftsy. You're probably wondering what Craftsy actually is. Well, imagine this. It's an online community and a resource where millions of crafters, makers, do-it-yourself enthusiasts, they all come together to advance their skills in some way, shape, or form. There's over 2,000 exciting classes and over 20 popular categories. Some of these categories are cooking, drawing, painting. You have photography, journaling, writing, fitness. Pretty much anything that you would like to get better at, Craftsy has it. One of the many cool things about Craftsy is they're always creating new classes to keep people coming back for more, to help them in any way that they can. You can connect with fellow makers and do-it-yourself lovers to ask questions, share ideas, and stay inspired. There's nothing like having a camaraderie with like-minded individuals trying to learn what you're also trying to get better at. You can experience the satisfaction and joy of creating something truly one of a kind, and with your own two hands. You'll have access to Craftsy's live streaming tutorials, which are really cool, where our expert instructors share their tips, they answer your questions, and they also help engage with the community in real time. This is where the live classroom feeling really comes into play with Craftsy, and this is essential in feeling like you are a part of a community, trying to learn new things, trying to get better all together. Another thing that I want to point out about Craftsy classes is how they're structured. The classes fit any interest and skill level, so you don't have to be intimidated about joining a specific course if you feel like you're not good enough to start out. Members get unlimited access to thousands of inspiring classes, exciting projects, and mouth-watering recipes. Yes, if you want to learn how to cook, Craftsy's got it too. With world-class instructors, they'll inspire and encourage you through every step of the creative journey. I know I'm looking forward to several classes that Craftsy has to offer, such as sketching your point of view and portrait drawing. The first 1,000 of you to click the link in the video description will get a full year of premium membership to Craftsy for only $1.49. Let me repeat that last part. You will get a full year of premium membership to Craftsy for only $1.49. You might want to take advantage of that if I were you. And last but not least, I want to take the time to thank Craftsy for sponsoring today's video. Now, let's get back to drawing. Okay, so what I'm doing here is I'm just trying to put in a humanoid face, some chin, maybe a pronounced chin. Let's just say a pronounced chin. Now, why am I going to the faces first? Okay, why am I scribbling this in? There is a reason. So let's say that you get a brief, and I'm going to try my best to tell you the type of briefs that I get in the industry. A lot of times an art director might know what they want, or they might not know what they want. And there are advantages to both. So you're probably thinking, wait a minute, what's the advantage of them not knowing what they want? And it's simply this. You're the concept artist. You have total creative freedom in coming up with some pretty crazy stuff. And that could be one of the most fulfilling and rewarding ways to design for a game or a movie. Other times when you have very tight constraints, you might need to design something specifically and you can't really stray off course from it. That's when you really have to pay attention to the brief. Because a lot of times when new IPs are started off, and a game company starts to, staff up on their concept artists and their environment artists and all these different people that are going to be helping you for the next year or maybe 2 years or 6 months. They like to compile all these artists and then just let them go. What I mean by let them go is let them run wild with all of their ideas that they can have. All right, so what I'm doing here is I'm getting a very rough idea of what I want out of this humanoid creature's face. Kind of reminds me of Scarecrow, actually, from Batman Begins. But if you haven't seen that yet, Cillian Murphy plays Scarecrow, and actually they did a pretty good job on the concept for that. Very dark. Okay, so I kind of like this. Pronounced jaw. Nothing is set in stone yet. So I encourage everybody right now to take out your sketchbooks and just start doodling. Do some sketches of different types of faces, different sizes, different lengths, and let's just see what you guys can come up with. Okay, so here I'm making sure that as I go down the concept, the lineup, I'm making sure that each new one is different. So the plan is we're going to have some head designs here, heads, okay, and then we're going to pick a couple and then we're going to refine them. So some of these are going to be pretty scary. I'm going to mix some machinery in with them, maybe a couple extra eyeballs. I'm not holding back on this. I'm just going to start designing stuff that I feel would be weird, eerie, scary, because, let's be honest, scary tends to impress more than happy and cuddly, right? No offense to you all out there listening to this right now that draws cute and fuzzy things. I will be the first to admit that I'm not good at that, and you would absolutely destroy me in that department. I'm trying to draw or learn to draw cute things, but for the time being, I'm going to stick to nightmare fuel. So if you're drawing along with me, hopefully you're doodling, and just remember, food for thought. Every single scribble and line that I put down, I'm not overthinking it to the point where I'm trying to perfect it. It's not connecting anywhere. All I'm worried about is getting a rough idea of what could exist versus what should be and me drawing it perfectly. I think that's what holds a lot of artists back. It's that we think that every line has to be perfected. And what that does is it forces us to overthink. And then what does overthinking cause us to do? It causes us to forget how to have fun. Let me put it bluntly. When we're drawing and we're trying to overthink everything, or just not trying to, but overthinking in general, drawing becomes a chore instead of freedom. And if you really love drawing, you want this knack or this skill to set you free versus hold you back. If drawing is holding you back right now, you need to really sit down and ask yourself, why is it doing that? And it's probably some kind of underlying factor, like maybe you're worried about what other people are going to think, or maybe you really don't know where to begin. And I just want to say that you're not alone. Everybody goes through this. I don't know what is going on with this character, but I like it. Now that I'm putting more details on this face, it kind of reminds me of Jason Voorhees. The earlier Friday the 13th movies where it showed his face. Even as a child, if you saw the very first Friday the 13th. I feel so old for saying that, but a lot of people have never seen the very first one. They just know who Jason is because of Freddy vs. Jason. Okay, and then you can see my technique here. So I'm just taking a standard Bic ballpoint pen. So this is the Bic Ultra Round Stick Grip, and I'm layering primary, secondary, and tertiary lines here. Primary being heaviest, secondary being lighter, tertiary meaning small divots and details and things that will eventually fill up the space and also add texture at the same time. So you can see me whip around these drawings here, and by all these scribbles crisscrossing, it's forming its own texture, which is the beautiful thing about doing concepts. Okay, so right now this is how a character portrait sheet would work for me while doing games. Not much more detail than this, and of course these would take probably a day or two, maybe more depending on the complexity of the character, but in reality it's usually a day or two because they just want to see something. If they can just see something, then it can form a narrative in their head, like, okay, well that's what I don't want and this is what I do want. Okay, so this thing also looks like Thanos. Totally unintentional here. Maybe I should draw Thanos sometime. Give a comment below if you want to see me draw Thanos. You know what? I would probably draw Doomsday quicker than Thanos. Maybe even Abomination, because you can get away with drawing some really creepy stuff for that. The thing about it is, if somebody put me in charge of Marvel, half these stories would be really scary. Like I wouldn't sugarcoat anything, because a lot of those creatures are not nice, and you know how they say DC is a lot darker than Marvel, which it's true, but there's also some dark stuff that happens in Marvel. But anyway, I mean, when you look at DC and you look at characters like, you know, Darkseid and all this awesome, really horrific looking beasts, you're wondering, it's like, man, I would love to see Superman, or not Superman, but maybe like Ant-Man versus one of them, or like Hulk versus one of them. I don't know. Okay, so now we can start to see some scribbles. So those of you viewing this from your mobile device or your desktop, hopefully you can still see all these little crisscrosses in here. And I'm probably going to go back over these at some point, but what I'm doing now is I'm accentuating the areas that I want to show off or that I think could be a selling point. So for example, the selling point for this one in number 1 would be the eyes and then the mouth. It's almost like that Deadpool mouth, the original one that Ryan Reynolds showed up in. Not the newer ones, the older one where he just had that, you know, that weird mouth. And then this one, probably this super pronounced forehead, that brow ridge, I guess you could say. Let's put some little lumps on here. That'd be kind of cool. This is another thing that I love about pens, is that you can get dark instantly over top of lighter lines and it will show up. Oh, it looks like he's missing some of his nostrils. That's fine. I should say its nostrils. I don't even know if this is a dude. Some other being. I don't know. Okay, let's move on to 3. Oh, and then also we got to number these too. So 2. I like to keep my sketch pages nice and tidy. You don't have to, but if you're sketching along with me, try to give at least some space in between each sketch to have the eyes rest. So those of you that are in school right now, you might be doing some like thesis work or class assignments, and you're putting together you know, some concept sheets. Even though at this early of a stage, you're probably thinking, well, these aren't final renders. They don't have to be all perfect and nice. You're right. They don't have to be, but it's nice to have these orderly too, because it just shows your organizational skills and also your presentation skills, because you want to put your best foot forward regardless of what you're drawing and what you're showing too. And I will say, even at the earliest stages, the cruddy thumbnails actually look the best, because we're not bombarded with details that we're forced to know are there. And when you see a final render, you know, that's it. Nobody can imagine anything else happening with the creature. But with these, it's like, oh man, I think we really got something here. There we go. Okay, so what I'm doing now is I'm just opening up the mouth, showing some pretty gnarly teeth, maybe an exposed gum up here, some wrinkles to show the mouth moving backwards. The face on this thing is, I can't even tell you what's going on. It's like a combination of the Demogorgon and a flower or a plant, exotic plant. And maybe a little bit of The Last of Us. Okay, so we won't see much of that chin at all. It's because it's open. You see here how we know that there are inner workings in the anatomy of the jaw when it opens up. But I am not worried about being perfect with the jaw hinges. Okay, all I'm worried about is to quickly convey what I want the creature to be doing, and that is, it is screaming at us, it's roaring at us, and the feature on this one is the head. So the focus is the head, and also, if you want to learn how to draw horrific creatures, don't put eyes on it. A lot of times, alien stuff too, like if you're doing something extraterrestrial or creature from some far off land, having no eyes tends to be the scariest. Alright, so what I'll do is I'll just really color in the back of the throat to let you know that there's a hole. Okay, there's the tongue. It's pretty gross, actually. So I don't want all these markings to get mixed up too much. I got to be careful of that. Okay, so we're going to number that 3. And I'll probably come back and put in a little bit more detail on this. But again, this is the concepting phase. Okay, so a lot of times when I get a brief, I will compile a mood board, and if you're not familiar with what a mood board is, it's just a collection of reference images and artwork goals, you know, like a benchmark of how you want your creature to look once it's all polished. I collect all these images. A lot of times it's half a day, maybe even a full day. And studios understand that because, again, depending on the complexity of what you're designing, it's going to take a lot of reference gathering. And I just want to point out something about reference gathering. There seems to be this belief among young artists that gathering reference is cheating because you're copying off stuff. And it's quite the opposite. If you want to have something truly believable, you have to have reference. And if you're making something up from your head, those images that you see in your head are coming from you subconsciously because of the things that you observed in the real world. Video games, movies, walking down the street, dreams, whatever. Okay, that's all your conscious is what you've seen. And yes, you can make stuff up, but what it does is it compiles what you've seen into something new. That's where the creativity comes on. Blech. See, I try to get all these words out and I have no idea if I'm going too fast or not. But I'm not stopping, I'm just going to keep going. Alright, so again, I don't want to put anything more on that one. Let's jump down to number 4. Okay, so we have this weird Deadpool looking creature. We have this Hills Have Eyes / Thanos looking thing. And then we have a Last of Us zombie-ish hybrid. See, I can't even name them. But just for giggles, let's do Phil. And let's do Bert. And then over here is Todd. Anybody listening right now and watching, if your name is Phil, Bert, or Todd, you know, congratulations. I hope that you do not look like this. If you do, that's okay. You can comment below and tell me. Okay, let's go to number 4. Again, we got to, oh, you know what? Another thing that I forgot to say. Thumbnail stage. When you're doing this stuff, give the sketches a nice outline and only the outline. Okay, so thick to thin lines, short controlled bursts. What this does is it lets the client know that you have finished off the sketch and also lets yourself know. It shows up better when you scan it in, and if you're doing it digitally, it shows up better wherever you put it online. And you want stuff to show up well. Okay, so again, this one, Got that beast of a neck. Maybe I'll point the ears here. See how I go back. This is kind of ambiguous on the side. I don't really want it to be ambiguous anymore, so I'm just going to put a little bit more character on the head. There we go. And then over here with our friend Phil. Got that. All right. Okay, so we got Phil, Bert, and Todd. Maybe they're all brothers. Who knows? Let's jump down here. Let's see if we can do a female horrific creature humanoid thing. I don't know how this is going to go, but we haven't done a female yet, so might as well. Maybe we can put some makeup on her, but not really, because she's supposed to be scary. She could be a siren, or she could be a kelpie, you know, like those the old cryptids. But let's see what happens. So maybe this is why I always love looking at like Melina off Mortal Kombat, because Melina, she puts the mask on, she's beautiful, she takes the mask off. Those of you that have played Mortal Kombat, you know what her mouth looks like. That hidden terror, that's pretty cool. All right, so I'm just having a lot of fun here. I'm just playing with the hair. Maybe she's a witch. That would be kind of cool. So if she's a witch, then maybe I'll go easy on her face just a little bit. But if I do that, I need to be careful because we might lose the horror aspect. So maybe the eyes are outlined in black and then there's no pupil. Okay, so that could be kind of scary in itself. And then what I'll do is I'll just hint at some normal eyelashes. So nothing, you know, nothing major. There we go. Like a pointy nose just a little bit. Sinus cavities are showing. I've got to put that ear back there. And then, oh, you know what? Maybe we can thicken her hair in some parts to give her some dreads. She's like a banshee or a witch or something that haunts a bridge. Maybe it's the Blair Witch. I don't know. I love the Blair Witch Project. A lot of people don't like it. A lot of people do like it. I love that movie, the first one. The Book of Shadows was an awful movie, and then they made that newer one, The Blair Witch. I thought that was pretty good. Those of you that haven't seen it, I'm not going to spoil anything, but you do see the witch in that one, and it's pretty creepy. But it kind of takes away from the fun, you know. You want to hide that stuff. That's why the first Alien worked so well, because we didn't see the xenomorph till the end. Okay, so I'm not going to go overboard with her face, but I am going to give her a strong jaw. Okay, maybe she's leaning forward, about to attack. I'm going to deform her face just a little. I'll give her that chin. You know, you want to give her those big lips. And then maybe she's got some scars. So maybe it's running down here, maybe down her face. And then I'm going to put my pen to the side, because what that does is it allows me to shade with it very, very subtly. So it can mimic eyeshadow, but it's really not. It's just her eyes sunken in. Maybe a pretty mean face. Okay, there we go. Maybe some hair sticks up. So when you're doing horror characters, you want to, again, focus on the eyes and ask yourself, what would make you afraid to look at them? All right, think about the nightmares that you have had in the past with, you know, movies that you've seen, then you went to bed and you couldn't sleep, or just some really weird dreams. Okay, we've all had those weird dreams. I've had weird dreams. I like dreams where I can fly. You know what I could do on that? Maybe I can put some symbols on her face. There we go. Something like that. It's almost like the Mummy with Tom Cruise. You know, a lot of people don't like that movie. I actually did enjoy it, but you can't beat Brendan Fraser's version in the 90s. You just can't. And you know, like, come on, Rachel Weisz was in it. It's those were classics. As cheesy as they were, the original mummies were good. Okay, there we go. She's definitely disheveled, so we want to show that. You know, if she has like bones in her hair holding it together, maybe there's some spikes that are used as hairpins. Or she just had a really rough morning. I don't know. There we go. Maybe some big earrings of like bones. I have no idea what's going on in that ear. We'll see. Okay, so this is number 4. Okay, we did our female. This is going to be a fun one. It's not going to be anything. I have no idea what's going to happen. So draw along with me to see if you could draw something totally crazy too. But this is going to be horror. So if you want to come up with character design for horror, you got 2 places to focus on that'll really bring it out. The mouth and the eyes. Okay, so let's get crazy and let's get some big eyes in here. Okay, I'm always saying you should do small eyes or no eyes at all. What if we did something really, really crazy here? If you do not like extraterrestrials and little green men, then you should probably turn away. If you do like them, then this might be your thing. I don't know how this is going to be, but for this particular creature, I haven't given anything a big mouth yet. So let's see what'll happen. Let's just indicate some very, very asymmetrical sharp teeth. It's going to almost be like a bug, but not quite. And let's make them very sharp, and some of them may be blunt or broken off. This is where discipline comes in on your thumbnail. So you notice I'm still scribbling the shapes in there. There we go. Makes me want to direct a found footage movie. I'm a huge fan of found footage. I like it. Comment below if you like found footage films. Some don't. And you're entitled to your opinion. That's fine. I personally love them. If they're done right. Some of them are awful. And I'm not going to name off the ones that I think are awful. I think, you know, everybody's is entitled to their opinion. Oh yeah, we got something scary here. Okay. Oh my gosh. Look at those eyes. I don't even think I'm going to draw eyebrows. I don't even know what's happening. Since I don't know what's happening with this creature, the fun part is going to be trying to put some character in it. Okay, so what that means is we can all sit here and draw crazy, scary things. Or cute things, adventurous things, doesn't matter. And they might be characters and you might be putting them in your portfolio, but all of a sudden they don't have any life to them. They don't have any reason that you would want to get to know them or be scared of them. And it just looks like you drew them just to draw them. Okay. So what we want to do is we want to start putting some character on each one and make them more interesting. And you can do that even at this stage, the cruddy thumbnail stage. Whoa. Okay. See, I'm just playing along here. Do some foreshortening here of the teeth in the front. Oh man, it's like the, kind of like the Predator, but not really. Maybe there's like secondary jaw, a third jaw in there. Who knows what's happening? But the one thing that we have to do is account for where these teeth are going to go if it bites down. So I think I just messed up. This is where thumbnailing is going to come into play. And I just want you all to know that it's okay. Like if the brief says just start drawing some crazy heads, you're going to get some crazy heads where it doesn't work out too well. There is no functionality with that mouth. I think I just messed up because the teeth up here at the top are pointing straight down. So when you open your bottom jaw, Okay, the bottom jaw doesn't open straight down either. It kind of bends back towards your neck. Well, the problem is I just drew these huge mandibles, and if it bit down, some of these sharp mandibles would, or these teeth would bite right into that, unless they moved out of the way. You know what? Let's do that. Let's say that there are some teeth down below, underneath the mandibles, and the mandibles come out as secondary, I guess, weapons, you could call it. Okay, so let's put a little arrow down here. Be like, they come out this way. And also little notes like this helps you realize what you just drew. Because a lot of times we'll come back, like I'll do that if I'm doing something for a game and the art directors ask me like, what were you intending here? And then my little notes will let me know. Because they've saved me from in the past from, you know, trying to explain away some really crazy stuff, and I forgot what the functionality was. Again, I still want to focus on these eyes, so maybe I'll leave a little bit of the white of the paper to show some reflection here, but I don't want to be symmetrical with it, so it's going to be a little off center over here, and then maybe we'll put in some more reflection. There we go. You can get a lot of depth even with a pen, so you don't have to do everything with a pencil. Okay, that bottom jaw. So what's happening is these mandibles are actually on top of that bottom set of teeth, so these would actually have to be darker to show depth. Again, another great reason why I love using ballpoint in the thumbnail stage. There we go. So I can really darken the teeth out, and they can show up. Now, because these bottom teeth, this bottom jaw is rather hidden, I'm not going to add any more detail than that, because the darkness of these mandibles, the outline, it's going to bleed into what I would make darker for these bottom teeth, and you don't want that. You don't want a sea of sameness in your work. So this is why I tell young artists to practice thick to thin lines all the time. What I mean by that is, if you're just starting out and you're drawing, just take your sketch pad and draw 500 of these. Just 500. Okay, over and over and over again. Practice thick to thin, pushing harder, letting go of that pressure. So what that does is it directly translates to your ability to put depth in your drawings, because all of this line weight that you see here is displayed in each one of these thumbnails, creating depth. That's what's so powerful about it. So I think, okay, so here's what I'll do. I'm going to put some real dark right behind those teeth. I mean, let's face it, the whole top jaw, the whole top of the head is creating a cast shadow inside that mouth, but we're not going to add so much ink in there, it's just going to get out of hand. Instead, I'll just play with what's happening on the head. Maybe there's some asymmetrical wrinkles going here to show you that this thing is screaming at the player before it busts out a giant rifle and you destroy its head. Hopefully you destroy its head. Okay, we're going to number this 5. Haven't named these characters yet. If you have some cool names for them, name 4. She's like a female witch. And then name 5, it's a demon from somewhere. I don't know. But we got Phil, Bert, and Todd up here. Maybe 5 is a female also. Maybe 3 is a female. I don't know. See how I'm kind of going back, getting some more ideas on what I could put down. I'm adding some really dark darks right inside the lip to show you the full mouth opening. And there's also going to be some cast shadows here. And these aren't refinement stages. No. This is just to show you how you can do some horror characters. Okay, and now if you wanted to do something full-bodied, you would approach it the same way. But when you do something full-bodied, you got to get that gesture in here first. Okay. Now this is just a little extra for the lesson. Okay, so The lesson is humanoid creatures. So what we'll do is we'll make it humanoid. Okay, maybe we'll put like a big gut on it. And then forearm, we got a forearm there. There we go. Alright, so if you've had figure drawing classes before, this is where gesture sketching really pays off. For a second there I thought I was accidentally creating Magneto's helmet. I definitely don't want to do that because that is not Magneto. Alright, we got that. This thing is almost like a... I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. Like a two-legged goat man. Okay, and then very quickly put in those finger gestures. Make sure those pop off. You want to put a lot of life into the hands. Okay. Make sure you put some spheres in there where all the major joints are. Maybe there's like a big hunchback, maybe there's some spikes, and you can start to see the shape taking place. Now I'm going to put a face in, and maybe the face is caved in a little bit, or maybe it's just like a really disgusting looking skull. Maybe the teeth show up and it's got a big smile underneath everything. But this is definitely a creature that you don't want to mess with. Or maybe it's summoned because somebody was playing the Ouija board. I don't know. But you can see how quickly I'm going about this. Okay, and this is how you would draw, well, this is an example of how you draw humanoid characters for a game. There's so many possibilities with making things humanoid. Okay, they don't have to look like straight up people, but they need human aspects, like shoulder joints, fingers maybe, how they stand, the pectoral region, abdominal region. You just want to tease at that human aspect. So I can start connecting some skin on the side, maybe put some bumps in here. And now all of the dark lines and the medium lines and the light ones, it's really paying off because I'm seeing a lot of depth happening, and this is just on the arm. Now, why am I putting all the detail on the arm? Well, think about the foreshortening happening, or the atmospheric perspective, and also what body part is closest to us. Okay, we got this arm poking out with the deltoids, but at the same time we have this face, so we also want to focus on the face. I don't know if the resolution is good when I'm drawing this far up on the page, so hopefully it is. There we go. And you just want to throw a bunch of lines together until you get something that you really like. Again, folks, this isn't fancy. It's just the thumbnail stage, drawing characters, and if you are enjoying this lesson, I definitely encourage you to watch my previous lesson about just drawing characters in exploration mode. Okay, full body. And then you can pick and choose from there on what you want to go with. If you enjoyed today's lesson, I encourage you to check out the links in the description below about our Creature Design Workshop Discord. It's a bustling community where everybody is joining. And I also want to take the time again to thank Craftsy for sponsoring today's video. Thanks again, everybody, and I'll see you all next time. Later.